Samuel Smiles is all about, hard work, thrift. Okay, I'm about thrift and frugality too. I think it's actually a good virtue to be frugal, because it means that you don't need so much money, therefore you don't need to work so hard. Anyway, but Jordan Peterson, I think, he's very much in that. And I imagine when I think about Jordan Peterson, I get this rather sad image in my mind, which is a sort of young man, living in a trailer with his young wife and baby, and really trying to work hard to make his way in the world, and finding it very, very difficult, but sort of reading these Jordan Peterson books to try and bolster himself up. And I'm not saying there isn't good advice in there. Victoria, our sons, watched quite a lot of Jordan Peterson, and we probably think he's quite a good influence on young men, actually, in the main. But again, there's something missing. It's joyless, humorless, certainly, very puritanical. And when I say puritanical, I'm talking about literally about the Puritans who emerged in 17th century or 16th century England, and really dominated the political landscape for quite a while. Cromwell's republic was really quite sort of anti merrymaking, and the Puritan ethic. There's a famous essay, Max Weber's essay about this, published in 1910 or something. The rise of Puritanism and the rise of capitalism are very, very sort of closely intertwined, because he was a sort of fun-hating gang who thought that life was a terribly serious business. And let's look at Gordon Brown. He's a Presbyterian. He's one of them. Jordan Peterson's clearly one of them. It's very worried, anxious, earnest.
So what are you saying, Tom, that the idler is different from that? So if you wanted to be an idler, that's not what you would aim at.
It's almost the opposite, because they're saying get up early, work hard, and we're saying get up late and don't work too hard, and bring the emphasis back on the useless stuff, as Mark said. Sometimes actually the best thing to do is to do nothing. And Mark, you were talking about the climate change conference that's going on at the moment. I've said this loads of times, but there's this kind of idea that we have, and it's whether it's on all sides, whether it's Extinction Rebellion or Tories or whatever, we've got to do something. We've got to do something now. More action needed. More action. Do. Get out there. Do something. Well, we've got a great piece in the next Idler, which is coming out next week, by Colin Tudge, who, again, we've had on one of our Drinks with the Idler. He's done a wonderful course called Consider the Trees. A very eminent, knowledgeable biologist and ecologist. And the essay that he's written for us is on the theme of the work ethic. Work itself, activity, is what causes planetary collapse, or it's what causes pollution, is what causes carbon emissions. So actually, in rushing around trying to fix things, and certainly getting in airplanes and flying to carbon conferences, you might actually be adding to the problem. Now, I'm not saying that all action is obviously I'm not saying that all action is useless, but sometimes, if you think about it very logically, the best thing to do is literally to do nothing, because it's when you do things that you create pollution and emission. So perhaps we should all be working less. I mean, I think there have been studies on, this is the next point I wanted to make, which is sort of a bit seriously boring, but ecologists now are talking about a 3-4 day week, less commuting, less traveling, less electricity being used in offices, reduce consumption, rather than try to sort of build lots of new wind farms, which themselves use a lot of sort of minerals that have to be dug up in Bolivia or something like that. So, reduce your consumption, reduce your actual activity. Maybe the kind of bustling and ceaseless bustling is part of the problem. I mean, it's certainly being recognized now that the climate problems, the man-made ones, probably start with the Industrial Revolution. This horrible pollution and sort of burning of coal, which is used to fuel the factories, and then also to fuel really horrific jobs. Now, on the question of jobs, I did a newsletter a few weeks ago. I read a report from the UN and from the International Labour Organization and World Health Organization. 1.8 to 1.9 million people each year are actually killed by their job. Now, that's the same number as died in the official WHO estimates. I mean, there might be more other beyond the official estimates, but the same number as died from COVID in 1 year. And even Tedros, who's the head of the World Health Organization, said, this is just terrible. People are literally being killed by their jobs. So the work ethic has been sort of a disaster. It kills people. It wrecks the planet on a sort of humbler level, if you like. It makes people very depressed. Yes, some people enjoy their work and are lucky, and that's a great task that is ahead of the idler, is to try and find some work that you enjoy, or at least to sort of reduce the hours of work that you don't enjoy. But for a lot of people, it's not only misery making, depressing. It's extremely dangerous, and so I feel there really should be a sort of much wider global anti-work campaign against the workdemic. But the great thing is that this is about the little things you can do for fun, which you can do every day. So you can change your life in quite simple ways, and in doing this, it's not selfish. I think on the retreat, people say, well, if I'm idle, I feel a bit sort of guilty. It's not selfish to be idle because one, you're setting a good example for other people. So Elon Musk makes us feel bad, and that's actually quite rude to other people. So laziness is quite polite to others. It doesn't make other people feel bad. It's extremely good for your health.